Hey everybody, in this video we're going to start building a budget in Excel for a made-up company that I came up with called Bill's Fish Market. And if you look at the Word document that has the instructions for building the budget, you'll see the first page has some general information about what the budget should look like in Excel. And then don't forget on the second page, you've got specific information about how to calculate their budget for the next year. Now, when you go through that second page, you see the information that you're going to need to build the budget. You should be thinking, gee, which of these numbers or which of this information would be good to put on an assumptions page? And in this video, we're going to build the assumptions page for this budget. Things that would be good to put on the assumption are things that, first of all, you want to communicate to other people that are important about what went into building this budget. So the very first item on there says that this fish market is planning to sell 100 fish per day at a price of $2 per fish. Those things seem like they would be important for people to know when they look at your budget. If somebody else assumed that you were going to sell 1,000 fish per day, it would be good for them to know that no, actually you're basing this on 100 fish per day. Secondly, when you look at things to put on the assumptions page, if you create an assumptions page the way I recommend, you'll have numbers that are easy to change. So any number that you look at and you say, gee, I'm going to assume maybe 100 fish per day, and my boss might change it later to 120 or to 75 or to whatever. What we want to do is on the assumptions page, put down numbers that you think might change or that other people might want you to change. And if you build the budget smartly, spend some time designing it up front, then you'll make these assumptions and it will be easy to change later. So, all right, let's get right into it. So the first thing you want to do when you build a budget is think about, all right, how many sheets am I going to have? With this budget, we're going to have a total, when we're done, of 3 sheets. We're going to have an assumptions sheet, we're going to have an accrual budget sheet, and we're going to have a cash budget sheet. This video is just going to be on the first one, the assumptions sheet. Every one of the sheets should, in the upper left, the first 3 rows should be the 3-line header. If you'll recall from maybe other accounting classes or work we've done in the past, the 3 lines are, first of all, the name of the company or the organization, in this case, Bill's Fish Market. Second line will be the name of the sheet. In this case, we're going to, this is the assumptions sheet, so we're going to have the second line be assumptions. And then the third should be the time period that it covers. I'm going to type fiscal year 2016. If you're watching this video in the future, you would want to make it the current year or whatever, but when I'm recording it, we're doing this for fiscal year 2016. Some people might prefer, for the year ending 2016 or for the period January 1st through December 31st, 2016, whatever. I'm not a big stickler. As long as it's clear what the time frame is, I'm not all that worried about it. So we've got our 3-line header there. And so we want to go through all of the information on that second page of the instruction sheet and identify, gee, which numbers should we make as assumptions. And as we already mentioned, one of the first ones is price per fish. And what I'm doing here in cell A5 is I'm typing the text, and then over in B5, I'm going to type the number that I want. in this case $2. Now, first thing you'll see here is, wow, we really can't read price per, it cuts off. So obviously what we want to do is make our A column wider. We could either move the cursor between A and B here, left click the mouse and manually move it back or forth. Or what I like to do is when the cursor changes to this funny looking symbol there, then you double left click and Excel automatically widens the column. So now we've got one assumption, and again, the text is in the A column, and then the numerical value is in the B column. And when we do the budget later, we're going to refer back to this when we do our calculations. That'll allow us to quickly make changes. Now, we've got a whole bunch of other assumptions here. I won't bore you to tears making me or watching me type. Instead, I've got that already typed up, and I'm going to switch over to that and just copy and paste it in. So you can see here, oops, I copied something wrong there, and that should mean now. All right, so what I've got here is I did things like the price per fish, the number of fish per day we're going to sell, the amount we collected in, and look at this, our column is not wide enough again. So again, I'm going to move up here and double click. Now I can see I've got an assumption that says, hey, they're going to collect 80% of sales in the same month in which they sell it. They're going to collect 10% the second month, 10% the third month. Cost of goods sold per fish is $1.20, 5% sales commission, all the other assumptions that you can see from the instructions sheet. All right, so now we've built a pretty nice looking assumptions page, but it's not as readable as it could be. There's some formatting issues here that I'm not real happy with. Things like this price per fish. This is not in good currency format. I want to go up here and click on the number format here, put it in dollar format. And you can see it added 2 decimal places. Now you might be tempted to say, oh, you don't need to display decimal places because it's exactly $2 per fish. But I think it does make sense to display 2 decimal places here to communicate to people that it's $2.00 per fish. Again, later on, your boss may say, no, we should change that. We're going to increase the price to $2.50 per fish or whatever, and it would be good to display 2 decimal places. Here, you can see the fish per day. For some reason, Excel decided to put that in dollar format, and that's not correct. We want that in comma format. However, here it makes absolutely no sense to display decimal places. That's just going to interfere with the readability. So you want to get rid of the decimal places with the decrease decimal button up here. Next, you notice some of the dollar or the numbers that are dollars do not look as nice as this. The dollar sign is right next to the number. That's not as readable. So let's go ahead and put these in dollar format. We could select all 4 of those. I select multiple cells by left clicking and then holding down the left mouse button. And now I think my numerical format or my format looks pretty good. What else do I want to do to maybe make this a little more readable? Let's see here. Well, one thing that I would like to do is here you can see I've got my 3-line header in column A, and then there's nothing in column B. One thing I can do here is what's called merge and center. So what I'm going to do is select cells A1 and B1. How do I do that? Well, I click on A1 and then I hold down the Shift key and click B1. That selects both of them. and then I can hit the merge and center button, and now instead of two separate cells here, I've got one cell, and the title is centered over both columns. I can do the same thing with the second and the third row, and great, now I've got a nice looking 3-line header over everything here. What else should I do to make this more readable? Well, one thing here, you notice the name of the sheet. It says Sheet 1. That's not the most helpful name of a sheet in the world. So what I'm going to do is right-click on the name, select Rename, and I'm going to call this the Assumptions Sheet. All right. Now it's really starting to look pretty good, another thing that I like to do, though, is add comments. Now, if you look at some of this stuff, some of these assumptions are very clear. They don't need any further explanation. Price per fish, $2. We know what that means. Fish per day, 100. We know what that means. But amount collected, same month, 80%. In some cases, the person you're going to send it to knows exactly what that means. You don't need any further explanation. But let's assume that we're going to send it to somebody who maybe that's not very clear and they need more explanation. So in that case, what I like to do is use a comment. And a comment is a really nice way to provide additional information without ruining the readability too much. So what we do here is, let's say we want to explain what this 80% means. We select the cell where we want the comment to be, and then we right-click, and one of the options here says Insert Comment. So we click on that, and it gives us a little yellow thing. This is supposed to, I think, look like a yellow Post-it note, if you will. So kind of back in the olden days when we did things on paper, you would have a paper budget, and if you needed to explain something in more detail, you might stick a yellow Post-it note on it. Here, we're going to type, and we're going to say something like, all sales are made on credit, and 80% of sales are collected in the same month the sale occurs. 10% are collected the next month, and 10% are collected in the third month. Something like that. Now, you might be, like, whoa, you lost half the note here because I typed too much. Well, you can change the size of a comment, make it bigger both vertically and horizontally, however you want. And so, great, we're providing more information. Now, you might say, well, gee, that really ruins the readability, though. And boy, if I add, a couple more comments, nobody's going to be able to read any of this important information over here because I'm going to have too many of these Post-it notes. Well, the nice thing about comments are, once you move the cursor away, it disappears. Don't worry, your hard work is not lost. If you notice here where we inserted the comment, there's a little red arrow in the upper right of the cell. And what that means is anytime anybody moves the cursor over that cell, the comment appears. And then when they move it away, it disappears. So if I want to look at all the information, it's very, very readable. And yet, if I want to get more information, I can just move the cursor over anywhere I see one of these red corners. Now, I will warn you, comments are wonderful things, but if somebody doesn't know they exist, they may not know that they can move the cursor over. So in some cases, if you send your boss a spreadsheet that's got a lot of comments on, you might have to indicate to the boss, hey, anytime you see one of these red corners, you can move the cursor over and see my comments. So a little warning there. Another thing, some of these other boxes, I'll want to provide some comments, for example, on the sales commission. I might right click and then insert comment, and I might indicate something here that sales commissions are paid 1 month in arrears. In other words, they're paid the month after, 1 month after they're incurred. So as you see in the instructions, if salespeople earn a commission in January, Bill's Fish Market is actually not going to pay them until February, and so on. So there's other fields we could add comments to. We could add comments to the insurance. Again, right-click, insert comment, and say insurance is prepaid in January for the entire fiscal year, something like that. Again, what we're trying to do is document for people maybe some of the difference between the cash budget and the accrual budget that we're going to be doing. If somebody looks at the cash budget, they're going to see a $1,200 expense for insurance in January, and they're going to see zero for every other month. So they might be confused by that. So maybe a comment here that explains that insurance is a prepaid expense might help them. Again, we'll click off. We'll see here that the comments disappear. Very nice and readable. We've got our 3-line header. We center it. We've got all the numbers in proper format. Everything looks good. The sheet name renamed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here in cell A1 on the assumptions page and click my save button. Be sure and save often. I don't believe that Excel automatically saves for you, so if your computer crashes or reboots or you lose power on your laptop or something, you might lose all your work. So don't go hours between saving your spreadsheets. Do it every few minutes. So I think we've got a good assumptions sheet. I'm going to stop here for now. The next video will go into talking about how to add the or start the accrual budget.